Okay, I think we might be on the interwebs.
We are all going to die.
I mean, I did say I was going to knock the spire over today, yes. But was I joking? Probably. Maybe.
Guess we'll find out.
Smash cut to Gorga and Talia stacking large boxes labeled TNT against the base of the spire. They look towards the camera and just go, what? The prophet's on top of it.
Oh, no.
What? You knew this was coming.
Yes. Hello, and welcome to Critical Recovery. This is a 5th edition homebrew Dungeons & Dragons campaign. I am Crash. I will be your DM for the evening. Tonight I am joined by a bunch of fantastic people, including Chris, Ellie, Io, Jen, Cindy. Archbeth is hanging out. And it has been a few weeks. I had to not do sessions because we were doing auditions for my school, but now we are back. So... what happened nearly a month ago?
Oh my goodness.
I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
You don't remember because you weren't there last session.
That's true.
There was something about a green circle.
Don't you dare.
Oh, no.
Oh,
That
no.
one, wrong campaign. Two,
That one wasn't
please
even
no.
trained. Oh, no, wait. Different green circle.
So,
Yes, we were investigating temples.
yes, you were investigating
Yes.
temples. You had already had an issue with a portal, on the other side of which was a big, bad, horrible thing. It turned the portal into a dragon shape. You then managed to close the portal by killing the dragon, which is not usually the prescribed method of doing it, but it was more fun that way, I guess.
Zuda murdered an intercom.
Yes.
Well, you didn't know it was an intercom. You knew it was a box that was making noises, so you murdered it. And that's where we ended the session. Now, I am going to say that since then, because I as the DM have decided we are not going to RP investigating each of the 5 temples. You've already looked at one. I'm not going to RP investigating each of the 5 temples where you go in and say, this one's trash, and then go to the next one and do the same thing. So it's been another day.
What? And this one is what? And this one is what? Did you drive these temples in a rainforest?
Okay, I'm going to check off the Eddie Izzard reference box on my bingo card. And remember, the I love this game box should always be checked off because that will always be true.
I think they're broken.
I'm muting myself.
You know what? I'm not editing any of that out. I take delight in other people delighting in things. So I truly enjoy that. You spent another day, so you can press the long rest button if there's anything that you need to press the long rest button for. That does mean, unfortunately, that certain temporary hit points are going to go away.
Right.
But in addition, oh, and don't forget to uncheck the box that says reset hit points.
I forgot to uncheck.
I'll go in and fix that in a little bit.
Okay.
I'll go in and fix that in a little bit. It's only going to be a few seconds until combat. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Okay.
We're all fine here. How are you? And check off the box that says Star Wars reference.
He says he says all these things, but he says them so often I don't believe anything he says anymore.
Technically, Ellie already referenced, a reference to Star Wars.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The Eddie Izzard reference was also a Star Wars reference. I am Vader, Lord Vader. You're in charge of catering? No.
Why do you think I broke?
You know, Jeff Vader. Can you get me his autograph?
Okay, this is going to be the Eddie Izzard fan cast now. Now, as luck would have it, because you are going through another long rest, many of you sleep, perchance to dream. Gorga, you dream of swimming through large piles of diamonds and gold pieces, and platinum pieces as well, and every now and then an electrum, because why not put electrum in the game? A la Scrooge McDuck. It is quite possibly the most restful dream you've had since you got this new body of yours.
It probably is.
Okay. And that's from the Fire Nation text. No, I'm making that up. The Fire Nation does not attack in your dream. They attack in real life. No, they don't. They don't. Talia.
Hello, darling.
You're on top of the spire.
Cue the Carpenter song.
You know it's not the way things actually are because it's like you're on top of a scale model of the spire. It is significantly smaller, and that you can actually see both sides, or all the sides. You can see the edges of the spire.
Cue
It's
the
only a
Chipmunks
model.
version of the Carpenter song.
Don't you dare. There is enough room on it for you and one other. A very large other. A very large black form of another. You can't see the details, but the edges of it tell you that the form is covered in feathers, and it is looking down at you.
Just looking down, yeah?
Just looking down at you.
I'm assuming I have somewhat control in the dream.
You have agency.
Okay. I just kind of bow my head. And what is it you ask of me?
You feel a hand on your shoulder. Well, you're assuming it's a hand. And there is a gesture, a motion. You're not quite sure what. It is still technically a dream. Mm-hmm. But it motions for you to look off away from the spire into the distance.
I look.
Your vision shifts. It's as if you're flying at incredibly fast speeds. Speeds that you're certain if you moved at in the waking world, impacting with anything would kill you outright. You go over forest, over plains, through fields that have been left fallow, until you encounter a river. When you encounter the river, your angle of motion changes very sharply to follow the river upstream. You go through a swamp where strange creatures that look like otters, but not quite. They are to otters as kobolds are to crocodiles and alligators. And you move further upstream to one of the sources of the river, where there is a cave filled with books and items and oddities. You don't see all of them in there, but you know they're there. As you are registering this information, your view shifts again. It moves, your perspective moves up, so you're still looking down at this spot, but now you can see more of the land around it, and lines connect it to places all over the continent. It occurs to you that those lines aren't actual lines. They're not even ley lines. They're not lines of magic. They are paths. They are connecting the various spots that a certain troublesome, traitorous Nagpa has traveled. They've set up smaller bases all over the continent to collect things. But this cave is where they are storing everything they find that is worth keeping. That is where they are. And then you wake up.
Okay.
That might take a little bit to process, so I'm going to let you do that, and we're going to move on. Ryan.
Yes. Sorry, wrong voice. Yes.
In my headcanon, which I'm abolishing, it's not going to be my headcanon, but for a split second, I was thinking, this is Ryan's voice when they wake up and haven't had their coffee yet. Which is, it's not even headcanon anymore. It was just for a tiny little bit. You are also aware you're dreaming, but you're used to this. This is the kind of dream where you usually meet Teriesh. Though you haven't seen Teriesh in a while. You've had multiple nights where you've slept and not seen them.
All right.
But you are on top of the spire now, and Teriesh is there. And Teriesh looks stronger. They look the same, but you get the sense that they're more there than they have been in the more recent times you've seen them.
I guess I should ask what this is about.
I don't know, but something's happening. I don't know if it's good. I don't trust it.
Well,
I could be wrong.
We can all be wrong. We'll deal with it, I promise.
You know I shouldn't be here. I don't mean...
You are here.
Yes, and I don't mean here, and they motion at the top of the spire where you are. I mean here, existing. I am born from the will of Joa. By all rights, I should have ceased to be when Joa stopped being Joa. And yet, I didn't go away. It's possible I could have just lingered for a while and faded. That did seem to be what was happening, I started to lose touch with everything. My thoughts scattered. Others, like me, many still exist. They follow Tyr. They found another with the same portfolio to latch onto. We did not. I still follow Joa, but I am able to. I am still here, and I don't know why.
Ryan they don't know what to say to that. And so they sort of reach out an arm awkwardly and try to pull them into a hug.
It is quite possibly the most awkward hug in the history of followers of Joa, because neither of you is used to that. You are stronger than the last time I had my wits about me.
Well, my sword did start glowing that one time, and then I started doing magic, so...
Perhaps my existence right now comes from you. I will meditate on this. Very dangerous things are going to be happening soon. There are a lot of forces being gathered. I don't see them, but it's like knowing a storm is approaching. I won't tell you to be careful. We both know what good that would do. But be ready.
Always.
And then you wake up. Morley, you are also on top of the spire.
How did I get sleep here? I think.
You definitely know this is a dream as well. It has a hazy quality to it, where things are not quite right because you don't always remember things perfectly. Also, you're pretty sure your house wasn't here.
Oh.
But your house is right over there.
I go inside if I can open the door.
Okay. You go inside. You don't open the door. You think of being inside the house, and suddenly you're inside the house.
Oh.
As dreams go.
This will do. Okay.
There is a fire in the hearth. Over against one wall, there is a loom, not an industrial-sized loom, not like in the factories in the town in which you grew up, but one that's used for more personal projects and for trying out new patterns. The warp is in place. The weft is... There's several feet of weft that have been put in place at this point already. If you were asked to describe the pattern of the weft, you would have no idea. Things are shifting too much. You know there's colors. You wouldn't be able to tell which colors are there.
Fascinating.
But you do remember the loom. It is one that's been in that home for as long as you remember the home.
Of course. My mother, she used to weave. She taught me how. So it maybe is hers.
Yes, it is.
Who said this?
There's a person right behind you.
Oh.
They were sitting in a chair. You didn't even notice them because you weren't looking at them. You were looking at the fire in the hearth and then looking at the loom. You're pretty sure they're a tiefling.
Oh.
But again, things are shifting. If you were asked to identify them in a lineup, you wouldn't even know what height they are.
Okay. Hello.
It's good to see you again.
So, okay, player asking a question. Do I recognize this tiefling, or I just have no idea who it is?
The player and the character might both have suspicions.
Okay. Because
of the nature of this particular dream, these suspicions do not currently have information that can confirm the suspicions.
Okay.
Right now, you're trying to think about whether or not you know who I am.
Yes, of course. Things here are a little strange.
Yes, that's by design.
Oh.
There are individuals who would take issue with me contacting you. I could give that information, and that would reveal certain things that would eliminate the need for, and they motion broadly at everything.
Oh,
this.
Okay. So, what did you want to me for?
A lot of reasons. I led with one of them. It is, honestly, and people so rarely believe me when I say this, honestly good to see you again.
It's good to see you as well. I wish I could focus on exactly who you are, but you seem familiar.
But also, a warning. There's been a mistake. The kind of mistake that usually leads to dead bodies.
Oh, no.
Has already led to dead bodies. A significant number of them. And you might not know it from my tone of voice and my incredibly pleasant nature, but I am very, very upset with the mistake that was made. If it was mine, I would already be taking steps to rectify the situation.
see.
As it is not mine, I'm still taking steps, but they are different ones, in a slightly different direction. They get up and walk closer to you. You would think that their closer proximity would reveal more details. It does not.
Okay.
You are carrying something with you. I didn't realize what the plan was until you got it. It's not something you'll find on your person. Don't bother searching your bags. It's not there.
Okay.
I understand how infuriating it is that I'm not giving very key details. But I assure you it's important because there are others who can listen in even on this. The point is, these missions that you've been going on, you need to stop. If you can convince your friends to stop with you, they might be able to help keep you safe. That would be ideal. But they are also putting you in danger just from their proximity right now. I am doing what I can to fix things. I am doing what I can to change things. Stop your missions. Get off this continent. I am going to seek you out, but you are too far away right now, even for me.
Where would you have...
They take a moment, take a deep breath, let it out slowly. I really want to tell you.
Okay, I will
But
try to convince the don't know I will...
I don't regret giving you this warning, but I may have said too much already. And I know we are definitely being watched right now. It's time for you to wake up. And you wake up.
Oh, okay. That's a dream, but more than a dream.
Meanwhile, Gorka is still swimming through piles of money.
Of course.
Occasionally rising to the surface and spitting out a bunch of gold pieces like they're water. Yes, the Scrooge McDuck gif. Ideal.
Yes.
It's more like the Scrooge McDuck in the cartoon and less like the Scrooge McDuck as played by Game Grumps, because that was a horror show. The game glitched and bad things happened.
Oh.
Yes. Zuda,
Yes.
you are a cleric of Somna,
Mm-hmm.
deity of dreams. You are in a castle. You don't recognize the castle. It could be any castle. Even the architecture is somewhat indistinct. But you feel comfortable here, like you belong here, like you are welcome here.
This is not the castle I was in the last time something like this happened?
It might be, but
Okay.
you
It is not
don't.
distinctly the castle.
You get the sense that if this is the same castle, it is the kind of castle that, as dreams are wont to do, can change as the need arises.
Gotcha.
You are in a room in this castle that has a collection of tapestries, and some guy with a very bad German accent insisting that he needs to get into the castle to view the tapestries. Never mind about that. That's not canon. That's not taking place.
Scottish, actually, but yes.
Point is, you recognize what's being depicted in the tapestries. They're moving, and there's things happening in them. And you, Zuda, are now very much aware of the contents of each of the 4 other dreams I have described.
Okay.
Including there's a 5th tapestry that has you looking at the tapestry of you, looking at the tapestry of you, looking at the tapestry of
I stopped zooming in.
It's Zuda all the way down. And you wake up.
Okay. Am I aware that those were dreams that I was seeing depicted in the tapestries?
Give me an insight check.
Okay. Passive insight is 18.
That's sufficient. Yeah, you're aware.
Rolled insight is 25.
You are aware that you're aware that you're aware.
You're super aware.
I mean, it couldn't have been hard. If you saw all 4, that means you saw Gorga swimming through piles of jewels.
Yes, but these could be visions of the future or not
Metaphors.
not necessarily dreams, but hopes or metaphors. Exactly.
I mean, the top of the spire also has a large pit filled with uncut diamonds. It could also be a memory of what happened the other day.
Right. Okay.
So it sounds like we're all awake now?
I'm going to say you actually all woke up at the same time.
Oh, okay.
I just couldn't describe all the dreams at once.
Right.
I only have so many
All right.
mouths.
All right,
Zuda
who
will
wants
coffee
bacon and coffee?
Coffee would be lovely. Yes.
All right.
Prophet hands you a cup.
All the coffee, please.
We'll make several pots of coffee.
Several pots.
Well, Talia did just ask for all the coffee.
Talia just pulls her hair tie out and just sits there looking real frustrated.
As Prophet has historically been invited to spend the night in Liam's tiny hut as well, Prophet was already here, was up before all of you, and already made a pot of coffee. It's possible that you woke up to the smell of coffee being percolated. And Prophet happily hands you a cup of coffee that, whether or not you admit it, smells delicious.
Thanks, Prophet. You're a lifesaver.
This is very good coffee. Exactly what I needed.
I've had worse. Thank you.
Thank you,
I had the
Prophet.
most interesting dream last night.
Oh, thank goodness I'm not the only one this time.
No,
Why?
you are not the only one this time.
Why with the weird dreams? We all...
I saw a
God.
tapestry of myself having a dream of myself having a dream of, and so on. I need not continue.
In my experience, gods and weird dreams go together.
Potential.
I mean, not wrong. Not wrong. As a silver lining, I believe I know where the Nagpa is.
Oh, that's good.
That's possibly good. Where?
Here, there, and potentially literally everywhere.
Okay.
That's not so
bless
good.
you.
It's not very specific, you know?
I know where the Nagpa is. Where? Everywhere.
Am I not wrong from what you described me?
What was revealed to you was they have many bases they have set up throughout the continent, but they have one main base that they take
Yes.
everything to.
Yes. I was just being facetious.
Okay. I dreamed that I was home, but on top of the spider, which is not where my home is located. It
Well,
is
we
making
assume.
me very homesick now.
Do we have a map of this continent?
Not
Are we
so
that-
much. It's a giant rough circle with a giant mountain in the middle.
We're never that prepared, are we?
Zuda?
Well, we kind of
Yeah.
came here by accident, or on short notice at
What?
least.
Talia just
What do you
sits
know
there.
about how celestial beings work?
In what sense?
In the sense that can they live in people's heads? You know, metaphorically. I mean, also literally, I guess, but I don't feel like they're in my head.
What sort of a celestial being do you mean?
A Deva.
It's said that gods are kept in a particular plane of existence by the combined belief of those who believe in them. A deva may be small enough that the belief of a single person would be enough to keep them anchored to a plane.
That's what I was wondering. They're the last one left. The others,
The last
they faded
Deva
away,
left?
or the last Deva of a god that doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, how fascinating.
The others faded or went to serve here.
Well, I would very much like to meet them if they should show up here. But in the meantime, I would suggest that they are not so much in your head as capable of communicating with you because of your continued belief in them. But, of course, I have no basis for this beyond extrapolation.
How? I mean, I didn't even worship the god.
It might be why.
But if you
I mean-
believe that if you believe that the Deva exists, then that's sufficient.
Not really. I mean, it doesn't
Worship.
matter. None of it matters. But belief in a thing existing is not the same thing as following it. Everyone here believes the Tarask exists. I am one of the few.
This gets into theology that may not be exactly breakfast talk, but suffice it to say that worship does not necessarily imply belief, any more than belief necessarily implies worship.
Yes.
Talia perks her head up. May I interject?
Of course.
Go ahead.
As someone who does follow a deity, I will say I do not worship her, and I didn't choose to follow her path. Being there are very many cases of deities choosing to interact in someone's life, whether it be for their advantage, for the person's advantage, or just because they see potential.
This also is true.
Just because you don't worship whatever deity it is that's taking an interest in your life Just because you don't believe in that deity, that doesn't mean they're not going to take that interest.
Oh, they're definitely not going to take an interest in anything anymore.
We'll see.
No, we will
back to her
not
drawing.
see, because they're dead, because Tyr absorbed them.
Darling, I have lived a long life. There is very little that is ever final in these worlds.
Considering Talia's technically on life number 3, and the rest of you are on life number 2.
Right.
Talia's point. There is
I don't
very
have a
little
character that would interject that, but as the DM, I'm interjecting that.
there is very little in these worlds, these realms, these planes that are ever final. Talia puts her head back down and continues drawing.
Talia, does any of the paths you talked about with Megpa? Maybe that's the wrong word, but
I didn't actually mention the paths.
Oh, I thought you did.
Nope, I just said I knew where he was everywhere and anywhere, and
Okay,
then I just started
that.
drawing. Talia's just not.
Okay, so scratch that. I was confused.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, it's easy to be confused. Okay.
No, it's very. There was a lot of information at the start of this.
There's a lot.
Very easy to
Yeah.
be confused.
So I got a little confused. Okay.
And memories of dreams fade, so Talia's getting this down while Talia
Okay,
can't.
that makes sense. Yes. Okay.
That's the reason she interjected and went straight back to it.
Okay, I understand. Player was confused. All right, no problem.
Well, weird dreams aside, we need to figure out our next step, because we were all given a second chance in return for completing a mission.
I need about 10 minutes to finish what I'm doing. You guys figure it out.
Could we perhaps get off of this continent that has the press on it?
Not until we find the nag.
How do we know
But-
they are?
Ask Talia.
What am I being asked? While continuing to draw, barely paying attention, y'all.
Right. How do you know for certain that the magpie we are trying to find is still here on this particular continent, or have they gone?
Yes.
I see.
Talia, I believe I can
Yes.
answer this question. You may proceed.
Thank you, dear.
Yes, we are certain that the Nagpa is still on this continent. It does not have a way to transfer to a circulus proper, shall we say. And while Talia is correct in her characterization of the Nagpa being anywhere and everywhere, we do have clues as to its usual haunts.
Okay, so we go find this creature we are trying to find, and then
We can leave the continent, because I know it is very important to you.
Yes.
I'm essentially now at this
How
point
do
just
you
waiting for
know
Aaron
that?
to say, Talia, you're done.
Talia finishes a few minutes before the Liamon's tiny hut bubble pops, and you are once again on top of a very tall, very windy, very cold spire. So it's a good thing you finished before the bubble popped, because otherwise there might be some blurred lines and smudges in the ink.
Great, now that song's in my head.
That's a horrible song.
I'm going to say what's
That's
his
a
name.
horrible song to have in your head. Thank you, Aaron.
Just imagine Weird Al's version, because Word Crimes is such a better song.
Word Crimes is a much better song. Okay,
Yes.
okay, we'll go with
Weird
that.
Al is a
Thank you.
national treasure. I don't care which nation you're talking about. He's still
Weird
a
Al-
national treasure.
Weird Al is a global treasure. No national, global.
Very true. Very true.
He is the weird uncle we all aspire to be.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, very much so. And that's when the dragon lands.
Oh, son of a...
It's a very large dragon. Well, one could argue it's a huge dragon if we're going by exact size.
Color.
Metal.
Oh,
As in-
That's new.
Well, no, you've seen this one before.
oh.
Oh. this
It
is
was a
mechanical
three-headed
dragon.
dragon.
Broken?
Oh, it's very broken. It looks like there was supposed to be 3 heads. There's only one. It was 1.5, but the force of it landing in front of you makes what's left of the neck of one of the other heads fall the rest of the way off.
Uh-huh.
Wait, before
And-
we attack.
I'm not attacking it. I'm just
I'm not
curious.
attacking.
I already pulled out my sword, but I am taking a defensive stance.
Sava?
Greetings.
The hatch on the top opens up, and before anyone can come out, Vex the pseudo-dragon flies in.
Ha. I was right.
Not necessarily.
From the inside, you hear a voice say, a very familiar voice, by the way, say, "Get in, losers, we're hunting Nagpa." And we've been playing for close to an hour, so what do you say we take a short break?
You finally got to say that. You finally got to say that.
I finally got to say that. I have been waiting
Wrong
for over a
though.
campaign. Literally
Wrong
longer
characters,
than an entire campaign.
Wrong characters, though. This is supposed to be the original campaign group coming
I
back for
know,
this.
but those characters are retired and most of them are on other worlds now. So, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm going to press some buttons. We'll be back in a little bit.
Okay.
Oh,
We're live.
while you're pressing buttons, I saw a picture yesterday on Jeopardy of Alex Trebek wearing a polo shirt and jeans, and it blew my mind.
Makes me think of the times when a student sees me outside of a school setting.
Right.
Like,
And they're
Mr.
shocked
Smith,
that you're real.
you're allowed to leave the school grounds?
I've had that happen. Mhm.
I remember thinking that way as a very
Yep.
young student.
Yep. It's like, no, teachers aren't real people. They just sit there and wait until we show up the next day.
Yes, just sitting at our desk, staring ahead, waiting.
Patiently.
Always waiting. All right. So, right before the break, a now one-headed, formerly three-headed mechanical dragon landed in front of you. The hatch opened up, and we heard Thava's voice from the inside say, "Get in, losers. We're hunting a Nagpa."
Wow.
I get in.
Yeah, let's
Okay.
get in.
There's about room for 2 more people if you don't mind claustrophobic environments inside the dragon.
I get on.
There we go. So I'd love to get out and talk to you, but I learned the hard way that as soon as I leave this chair, it powers down, and it uses my ability to cast anything more powerful than a cantrip in order to power it. So if I get out of this seat, it's going to be a long rest or all of your spells before
Pretty
we
much.
leave.
Pretty much every player in this game is going, huh?
None of the characters have a reason to go, huh? But yeah,
Right.
the players.
Right, yeah. Okay.
Well, last time
did
you
that
did find the
already.
schematics for this. So that
Right.
that was revealed last time, but yes.
Okay, let's go find the
Is there a way to hang on outside?
Well, it's a dragon, so if you want to do a never-ending story and yell, "Go, Filecore, go," you can. You could also attempt to be held by one of the giant dragon claws.
Make a seat with the claw, please, dear.
Okay. Is that okay? Does that work?
Sure. I'll sit in this claw.
It's gonna climb inside.
So we have Gorga and Morley on the inside, and everyone else is climbing on top.
Hey,
So
Or-
I'm on the
you want to
claw.
lift back down?
I have a question,
Yeah?
and this is an out-of-character question,
Okay.
and this is going to be one of the questions that you really, really hate.
I'm
Oh,
intrigued
no.
and terrified.
Liamon's tiny hut says, a 10-foot radius immobile dome of force springs into existence around and above you and remains stationary for the duration. Stationary relative to what?
Now we get into some wonderful
The
questions.
planet.
I would argue stationary relevant to the planet. The
Okay.
stationary, this
I have
becomes a
been
question
asked
if
the
you're in
same
space.
question.
This becomes a
So-
question in Spelljammer.
So could you
Exactly.
not put one on
What
the card
happens-
either?
What happens if I'm in the middle of space and I cast Liamon's tiny hut?
That is an excellent question that I am very glad I don't need to give a ruling on right now, because you're not going to space. You better not be. I'm controlling the character who's currently powering the dragon ship thing.
I grabbed Talia and I grabbed Fava and throw her overboard. We're going to space, people. Let's do this.
So based on what's happening with the Kobold game right now, that might be a bad idea. I'm just going to throw that out there. How do you feel about fighting storm giants and cloud giants in space? Specifically cloud giants in space.
I mean, I don't love it, Alec.
Yeah, let's get back to hunting this other thing.
Okay, so while I was gone, did any of you get any clues as to where this renegade bird person happens to be?
I know exactly where it is.
Oh, good. Could you trade spots with someone who's in here right now? Because I think when we are flying, it would be very hard for me to hear you yelling from outside a closed hatch.
Gorga, come sit in the seat outside.
Gorga does the Millie thing where she kind of goes, oh, for a few minutes, but then she complies.
In my headcanon, if this was being storyboarded out, we'd have like 5 or 6 panels from different angles of Gorga disliking this.
So what I do is I put my notebook in front of Father and I say, this is a layout of pathways created by the Nagpa that's on this continent. I don't exactly know the relative positioning on the continent, but this is the layout. That's about as much as I've got. Have fun. Oh,
We're gonna
and there
have
was
a
a river and a swamp.
Actually, 2.
2 rivers, a swamp, and then the source of a river that's in a cave system. Does that help?
We're going to have a conversation later about how you acquired this wonderfully detailed information. But I think for now...
Oh, honey.
I think for now, I would rather get this over with. Because I have a mechanical dragon.
And I have a job to do. Let's do this.
Well, yes, we have a job to do. We have a job to do. And I have a mechanical dragon to help do it. And I'm kind of looking forward to piloting a mechanical dragon to fight a bird person who is probably not expecting a mechanical dragon to try to eat his face off. So
The
this is
more
going to
you're
be fun.
saying mechanical dragon, the less I'm thinking they're real words.
I mean, that's
Question?
actually a proven thing. Yes.
Yep.
Can I find 5 cubic feet of water?
Not inside this yet. It depends on how averse Morley is to when we take off.
Oh no. Oh no.
Not
So as
inside this, no, but nearby.
Oh, why am I inside this?
Not
when Morgan's
nearby.
gonna do that?
you've been using water skins for your coffee. There's no source of water on the top of the mountain. So the dragon starts making a 3-legged gallop. 3-legged because one of the legs is currently holding Gorga, who is strongly disliking the experience. Imagine, if you will, the worst carnival ride, where you're not entirely sure maintenance was done. Actually, no, looking at that strut over there, maintenance has not been done. You are aware that maintenance has not been done on this ride, and it's one of those ones that has 3 different axes on which it spins.
Who is outside of the dragon right now?
Me.
And me.
Okay. And Gorga,
then-
you're in one of the claws.
I trust the claw more than I trust my own strength to hang on. So yes.
Okay. I'm going to use the water that's in my water skin to freeze my feet and rinds to the spine of the dragon.
I was gonna use rope, but this is probably better.
Okay, you are very cold.
I can deal with it.
And potentially going to slip out of your shoes.
Actually, the way you're riding on the back of this dragon, with the size of it, it's not so much freezing your feet to the spine of the dragon, it's freezing your pants.
Yeah, I figured that was something like that.
The ice is holding onto your butts.
So we're freezing our butts off.
Yes. Well, hopefully not. In that case, you'll be falling.
We're
Ryan have
freezing our butts
inspiration.
on!
I think at this point, if Ryan and Zuda don't have inspiration, they need to. But 3-legged gallop goes to the side of the spire, right off the edge. You do go past Prophet, who waves goodbye to you.
I wave back.
Yeah, I'll wave too.
It doesn't matter, but they seem nice. I hope they have fun storming the castle or wherever they're going. Doesn't matter. The Eater of Worlds will eat that too. It'll be good that they get to see it before that happens. Oh, look, a quarter. And as the mechanical dragon goes over the side, it angles down. Chris, don't you dare. It's horrible. Especially in this context. And for a bit longer than anyone enjoys, you appear to be falling rather than flying. You're not even falling with style. You're just falling.
I will not summon my wings. I will not summon my wings. I will not summon my wings.
And after you hit a certain speed, which is just below the cloud cover. So you fall through the clouds, which is not terrifying at all. As soon as you break through the clouds, the angle changes and you are flying at a wonderfully fast speed, very high up still.
Oh.
And inside the mechanical dragon, Thava's there looking at Talia's notes going, okay, so let's see, there's a river here, and this is the forest, I think, that we're currently flying over. And Thava, by the way, is not looking forward at all, just looking at the notes.
We're going to die.
No, that's the neat thing. You notice how there's no windows in this?
That's why I said we're going to die.
That's the thing. We don't need them.
Why don't we need them?
You need to try this. When we're done here, you definitely need a day to try this. I'm looking through the dragon. I can see all of that while I'm looking at this too.
When we deal with the Nagpie flying us away. That sounds interesting.
It will cost everything that is above a cantrip.
I have 2 spell slots.
And also, I mean, warlocks. We take a short nap and we're
We
good.
get them back anyway. Yeah, we're good.
Yes.
We're the best people to fly this thing.
I know, right? It's almost like when this technology was invented, we didn't exist as a class, but I'm breaking the fourth wall and you're not hearing any of this. All right, so let's see. And this is that appears to be your breakfast. Brushes that off.
Oh.
That was not actually a terrain feature.
I did this while I was eating.
Yes, it's clear.
There is also a coffee stain.
Well, I assumed we didn't have a large collection of mountains forming a circle over here. But yes.
Yes, no.
It's, you know what? I've done some of my best work over a meal, so I'm not blaming you for that. What did you write? Otterfolk?
Weird otterfolk, yes.
Huh.
You know, like how kobolds are related, could be related to like crocodiles and that, but they're not. It's kind of like that. They look like otters, but they're not.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, at this height, we probably won't see them as a landmark, but I'll keep an eye out for that anyway.
Probably want to take us down a little bit.
You know what's really nice about this?
The lack of wind in your hair.
If Gorga's screaming in terror, I'm pretty sure we can't hear it.
Oh.
No,
Just
I'm
check
pretty
out.
sure we'd hear it with her lungs. I'm pretty sure we'd hear it.
Smash cut to Gorga riding in a claw. Gorga, how are you reacting to this?
That Iron Man gif I posted of internal screaming pretty much sums it up.
So you can't hear Gorga scream because Gorga is screaming on the inside.
It is possible that Ryan might have cheered and pumped their fist in the air.
Ryan is totally doing a never-ending story sequence. For some reason, a bunch of bullies just ran and hid in a dumpster. They don't know quite why, because there are no dumpsters on this continent.
Fun fact, I have never seen the never-ending story.
Oh, it's so good.
I'm afraid to watch it again because I'm afraid that when I watch it again,
I watched it recently.
I will notice things.
I watched it recently. It's good. It's still good.
Just don't watch the sequels.
Yeah,
There were no
watched it.
sequels.
Yeah, there were no sequels to that movie.
Just like with the Highlander movies, they did Highlander 1, then they did Highlander 3.
And just like with Star Wars, there are no such thing as the prequels.
No, prequels are pretty good.
I will throw something at you.
Oh my.
I liked the first 2 of the prequels.
I liked parts of the prequels. Let's put it that way. There are certain things they've done in the prequels that are fantastic. Remember, don't worry, we're still flying with half a ship.
Also, in the Neverending Story, there's a weird continuity error where all of a sudden Atreyu doesn't have a horse anymore.
Yeah, I assumed he just found a stable.
I still cried at that.
You know what? That movie came out in, I think, the 80s, and that was too soon.
Like, I say seriously, I watched that movie like maybe 3 weeks ago. I cried at that. I couldn't get past it. It was horrible.
I thought it was a kid's movie up until that point.
Yeah, I did as well. I wasn't necessarily traumatized because I've seen other like movies that I shouldn't have seen as a kid because I like scary movies, I guess. But Yeah, that. I remember thinking like, okay, this is aimed at littler kids than me. How is this? You know?
I watched The Exorcist when I was 7.
I watched it. I don't remember how old, but pretty young. Yeah.
It's
Okay,
a great movie.
So while we've been having this conversation, you've covered a lot of ground over the continent, by the way.
Okay.
The party's been continuing. This is like when you're watching a DVD extras and they have the director's commentary with various people who were involved in the show, and you're at a point where they're showing a travel montage, so they talk about other things. Coming back, you are now approaching a cave. Now, as luck would have it, this cave it's not technically part of the spire in the middle of the continent anymore. The spire used to be taller. It's called the Broken Spire because right now it seems impossibly tall. It was taller than that. And that height was impossibly tall, as evidenced by the fact that it broke apart. It couldn't hold its own weight. And the larger the chunks that fell off has created its own mountain range on the continent. This cave has formed in that mountain range. It's not the only one there, but it's one of the ones that's there. And as luck would have it, you have in fact found a river, and Thava reduces the speed of the mechanical dragon. Now that you've said every time I say it, it sounds less like it's a thing. I am very conscious of every time I say mechanical dragon. So the mechanical dragon is going slower, and the mechanical dragon is going a little bit lower. And you are now going over a swamp. So this is where you say the otter folk are. But I'm still not seeing any signs of... And you hear plink, 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 plink. Oh, no, I do believe we're under attack.
I look.
They've
Are
been
things
bitten by a
clinking?
cursed insect, and now they're an otter bee.
I am assuming there are things hitting the dragon.
There are things hitting the underside of the dragon, which you're mostly on the other side of the dragon.
Oh.
So
What do I
you're
see?
okay. I'm getting to that. That's the delicious part of this. And Zuda is also on the same side of the dragon as Ryan is. So Ryan and Zuda are pretty much protected by a large amount of metal. Gorga, you're riding a claw on the underside of the dragon. I'm going to
Yes,
make
I
a roll.
am.
What kind of roll?
The kind that begins with the word attack.
Gorga's making an attack roll?
No, Gorga's not.
Gorga is under attack.
Ah.
Gorga, you take 2 points of damage from a dart hitting you on the leg.
Okay, Gorga's gonna shout that something just hit me in the leg.
Close to your knee. Your adventuring
that?
days are over.
Did we hear that?
You did not.
we
I almost
hear
said EO. Zuda and Ryan hear Gorga yell, but the sound does not carry.
Well, everything seems to be going swimmingly.
Yeah, it's a pretty good thing that none of the darts are able to, go through metal. That would be very troublesome. Gorga seems a little distressed, though.
Yes, not all of us are protected by the metal of the dragon.
Well,
This could
Gorga's
be a
mostly
problem.
protected. They'd have to be really, really lucky with their hit. DM notes, they rolled a 19 before their modifier.
Cool. Yeah, 3/4 cover ain't gonna help that.
Anyway, we're moving way too fast for them to chase us. I hope. Probably.
I don't know. How fast should they go? I've never seen an otterfolk.
Well, they're about the size of kobolds, from what I saw. Granted, we are still going very fast.
Fuck.
They might have just thought we were a different kind of dragon. I mean, dragons did
Well,
some
we
pretty
would-
bad things to this continent a few years ago.
I can see where they would think that the dragon was going to attack them. They
And
had to defend
also-
themselves.
And also, this mechanical dragon was made by said people who were in league with the dragons who did a lot of bad things.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, we could get out and explain that to them, but they're a good 3 days
never
walk behind us at this point.
It's too late.
No, we could turn around. We could,
No.
in fact, turn around.
Let's
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not turning around, but we could. Maybe on the way back. I mean, I've never seen otterfolk before. Maybe they're nice when you're not inside a giant mechanical dragon. Meanwhile, I'm appreciating the dichotomy of me including otterfolk in the game, which I'm sure Cindy is thrilled with. But one of them has managed to do damage to Gorga, so Gorga is, of course, disliking this. And as you get closer to the mountain range, Thava lands the dragon. It's
Does Thava remember to land it on 3 feet?
Yes, Thava is aware of the outside of the dragon, so Thava does not just take that claw that has
No.
Gorga in it and turn it right side up
Just
and let
making
Gorga
sure.
fall. Or worse, just be extra padding. That does not happen. There are plenty of things for Gorga's like without me doing that.
Okay, so I climb out of the dragon.
Okay.
I'm going to take the dart out of my leg.
I'll disengage the ice so we can all hop down.
Thava
Talia will
still
just
does not
say
get
to
out.
Talia will just say to Fava, well, good ride. Climb out.
Okay. At this point, I'm going to follow your lead from a distance, but as soon as I see that fighting has occurred, I am going to swoop in and do really bad things with this.
Excellent.
Okay.
Right, folks, do we want to take this stealthily, or are we going to just go in crazy, all guns a-blazing?
My vote's for stealth, but I'm not sure the rest of the party can handle that too well.
I take it I'm the diversion again.
Well, not necessarily. Zuda,
Yes.
do you have Pass Without a Trace?
I'm afraid I don't.
Then yes, you're the diversion, dear.
It's okay. I like being the diversion.
It perhaps is better if I am the diversion.
Well, either way, I
Given
do think...
that
Okay.
out of character, I have disadvantage on stealth checks.
So do I.
Yep, both these do.
It's the chainmail.
Either way, I
Oh,
do
yeah.
think Gorga and I should maybe scout a little.
Yes, I think you should. So, Ryan, why don't you and I be clanky and loud?
My
I'll-
favorite thing to be.
Click
You're
and
so
summon-
quiet. You're so quiet.
I'll click and summon Cupdog. And tell him to go
Talia
invisible.
and Gorga can do their thing. We can be clanky and loud to make sure that Gorga and Talia can do their thing. And Morley
Morley
can
will
provide
follow.
firepower.
Yes, I can do this. I can try.
Even with Kleptog invisible, you are all certain that Kleptog is making very profane gestures at all of you.
It is what he does.
Yes, that's what he does. Shall we head in, dear?
Yes, let's.
Okay, I'm going to roll for stealth for me and Cupdog. Okay, so he gets advantage, so that's a 19 for him,
Ooh,
and a 18 for Talia.
I got an 11 on my stealth check.
I got a 19 on mine.
Should I be rolling
By
a
the
stealth check?
way,
If you're trying to be sneaky, yes.
Okay.
There's two
I was
teams.
just
There's
curious.
there's team distraction and there's team stealth. You get to
Okay.
decide which team you're on.
I'm going with team distraction.
how far away are we from
Oh, sorry. How far away are we from?
where we're going?
You're about a 30-minute walk away. You can see it from where you can see where it should be from where you are. At this point, Talia is very familiar with the terrain because this area is kind of imprinted on Talia's brain right now.
That's a fair
You
comment.
cannot see the cave entrance from here. It's fairly well hidden by the topography, but you know exactly where it is. It's 30 minutes walk.
Okay, I will not cast Shield of Faith.
Yeah, not yet. I will confide to Ryan. As it happens, I also know exactly where we're going, so don't worry about getting lost.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
Okay. So the area you are in right now is old growth forest. There's a lot of very tall trees. There's a lot of shadowy areas. This is why the topography hides where the cave entrance is. And there's a lot of, because you're so close to, well, you're technically in the foothills of this mountain range. There's a lot of rocky outcroppings, rocks that fell off of this massive structure, either from the impact or over the millennia and eons since the collapse happened. So even though it's closer to noon, it's fairly dim. As you are sneaking your way, a thing happens. And that's going to require a roll for me. Okay. That is a 24 to hit Talia.
Yeah.
Okay. you take 20 points of piercing damage.
Jeez.
A claw, a bony hand with fingers that are too long, snakes out of the darkness. You should have been able to see it where it was, but for some reason it rolled much higher on its stealth check than your passive perception.
Son of a...
Even mine?
Yes.
Because mine's pretty high right now.
I am aware. I am aware, and it's possible that this is a being that got to roll with advantage.
Okay.
Using a wonderful ability, which I will tell you, it says shadow stealth. So, yeah, good times. Let's see, let me read this next thing to make sure I'm doing the right thing. Okay, and then it's gone. It sort of collapses in on itself and pops. Your first thought, actually, is that it's Misty Stepping, but it's not quite right to be Misty Step. When it pops, it hurts. I want Gorga and Talia to make a Constitution saving throw.
Oh no, this is gonna be bad. This is gonna be bad.
I got a
What's
16.
happening?
I got a 14.
Both of those are passes. 14 was the target number, so you just made it.
Okay.
And according to this, it says nothing about taking half damage on a successful save, so you take no damage from this. But from the explosion, it's not a loud explosion, but from the burst of whatever it is that shoots out from this thing, what it does to the area around you, you see what little undergrowth there is in this area, because again, very dim, just withers from the blast. You're pretty sure you would have taken necrotic damage if you hadn't made your save.
Okay.
Do you think it's gone, or should we call for help?
I
Can I tell
slap
that this
myself
is
on the
happening?
chest and cast Armor of Agathis.
What was that?
Which one?
I heard Armor of
Armor of
Agathis.
Agathis. I asked if I can tell that this is happening.
Well, you were team distraction, so give me a perception check.
Okay. Passive perception is 20.
Okay, so yeah, I would argue that since the stealth checks that were made were not over 20, you are aware that Team Stealth has run into an issue.
My passive
You heard Talia
perception is
swearing.
18.
Who's Vex with right now?
Vex is hanging out in the giant mechanical dragon. Because
Okay.
wouldn't you?
Of course.
If you were a tiny dragon?
And the big dragon, yes.
I'm just making sure.
Vex's only lament is that Vex does not have spell slots, and therefore Vex cannot fly the giant mechanical dragon.
Oh, no.
Oh,
I got 3 targets. I have 2 available. I'm just making sure that's correct. Ryan and Morley have dark vision out to 300 feet for the next hour.
Oh.
appreciate it.
So, Team Distraction, you have passive perception checks as well.
Yes.
And I know because you just said them out loud, one of you has a passive perception of 20 and one of you has a passive perception of 18. And Morley, whose character sheet I have open right now, has a passive perception of 16.
Yes.
Now, the 16 doesn't do it,
Okay.
but the other 2 do in this particular case. You see a thing just pop into existence right behind Morley.
Tackle it.
I am loading up a picture of said thing.
Okay, that belay the tackling then.
I mean,
You're about to tackle.
it's well. This is Ryan we're talking about. Based on the image of this thing, I am not entirely certain that tackle it is opposite of what Ryan would do.
Right. So for a brief moment, Morley thinks Ryan is about to tackle him.
For a brief moment, Morley thinks, "Why is everyone looking at me?"
Yes. And then Ryan rushes towards him, and oh no.
Oh, it's one of these.
Oh no.
Yep, this thing pops up.
Okay, so
And-
rather than tackling it, I would like to tackle it, but with my sword.
Morley down and
It's a
behind.
sword tackle.
Okay. I try to move out of the way.
And I haven't had you roll for initiative yet, but it just did an attack, so it's not getting to attack Morley this turn.
But we should probably roll for initiative.
Well, if my record timer didn't say an hour and 47 minutes so far, we probably would be. We're going to be wrapping up
okay.
very soon.
Okay.
Oh, I see how it is.
Yeah. I am not going to start rolling for initiative this close to a 2-hour mark.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So go ahead, Ryan, and make that sword tackle attack.
23.
That will hit. Roll your damage.
I know I didn't declare Green Flame Blade, but should I... Usually I do green flame blade.
I will allow you to have instinctively used Green Flame Blade without declaring it. I haven't rolled for initiative yet. Sort of, kind of, it's your turn. We're being wibbly wobbly right now.
Okay. And now if I could only...
Okay. Well, that is apparently 4 points of damage.
1 fire, 3 slashing.
Okay, so if it's 1 fire damage and 3 slashing damage, that means you do 2 points of damage because it appears to be resistant to non-magical portions of attacks.
I pull out my amulet and say the twilight abjures you and turn undead.
What do I have to roll?
Wisdom saving throw DC 14.
That's a nat 20.
Then nothing happens.
Oh no.
You hear a voice. You don't see the source of the voice. You can't even really tell which direction it's coming from. You just hear the voice. We appear to have conflicts of interest. Would you care to bargain?
Why should we?
I might have something you want. Information?
What could you possibly have that I want?
Wait, Brian.
There's a reason we're hunting him to begin with, so...
This is the Nagba we're talking about. Talking to you.
Yeah.
They're sounding very much like a bird person, so I'm not going to require an insight check.
Yeah, no,
What do we have that you want?
No, I mean, Ryan is doing that deliberately. Ryan's starting negotiating position here is convince me.
I understand.
Yes, but I'm not sure everyone did.
No, I was just wanting to clarify. It was definitely the Nagba we're talking to as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this creature, though, not the magpie, still attacking?
Well, it seems to just be holding still while you hear the Nagpa's voice.
Zuta's player doesn't remember why we're attacking the Nagpa, just that we are.
Yeah,
There
I'm
are-
in the same boat.
The actual reason is something that Talia would know.
Mm-hmm.
The reason you've been given is you're investigating things. So you were seeking it out for that. But that's not the reason that Talia knows.
So basically our first question to the Nagma would be, what do you know about the Kraken?
Possibly.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think we can make a deal.
Have I been told this Nagpa's name, by the way?
Harrowbin.
Harabin.
Are me and Talia within earshot?
Oh, yes. I would argue that even if you separated to approach from separate directions, you wouldn't have gone so far away that you wouldn't be able to hear each other.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That makes sense, yeah.
Well, we know that he knows where we are, that we're here, so stealth
Yeah.
group is no longer stealth group. It's just 2 people alone group.
And if
Call off,
Claw Hand thing stops attacking, I'm up for negotiation.
call off your creature, and we can speak.
Coleslaw? He's harmless. Just a little
I disagree.
overprotective.
Has harmed us.
Nothing you can't fix with a little energy. Am I right?
I will grant that.
Well, good. What I have to offer is much more interesting, I think. The Kraken, you say. Which one?
I didn't say Kraken out loud.
Oh. But what I have to offer is much more interesting, I'm sure. I have collected knowledge from a wide number of civilizations. I know much about things that have been forgotten, recently and otherwise.
Allow me to heal my companion, and then we will talk.
Wonderful. And I think that's where we're going to end it for tonight. I do love breaking the fourth wall in character voices.
Very well. I will cast Liamon's tiny hut, and we can resume this in the morning.
It's noon. You realize this, right? Liamon's tiny hut will pop before it's morning.
Yeah.
It's going to pop at 8 this evening.
Every time I cast it, I get an 8-hour rest. So,
I mean, fair. So, with that said, that is where we're going to end it. Thank you, everyone, for playing. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Tonight, I was joined by a bunch of fantastic people, including Chris, Ellie, Eo, Jen, Cindy, Archbeth, a GIF of Deadpool clapping. For whatever reason, we have a GIF of Deadpool clapping because fourth wall breaks.
Yes. When people mention fourth wall breaks, Deadpool's exactly where my head goes.
I mean, well, it's valid. That is 100% valid. So, is there anything that anyone would like to plug besides Deadpool?
My mom writes books. You can find them at elizabeth-mccoy.com.
I do a fortnightly podcast on video games and all things nerd. You can find us at azerothctc.com.
My website is Book of Jen at bookofjen.net. It's got a lot of video game stuff and a bunch of other things as well. I have added my Redbubble to the site, so you can find it there, and whatever art happens to pop up in the sidebar. I'm also the host of the Shattered Soulstone podcast, which is about the Diablo game.
And we have a Patreon. You can help us keep the lights on, just like other illustrious patrons, including Chris, Ellie, Eric, Janatalock, Mickey, Shanshen, and Walter. And until next time, this is Crash saying, they did what? Entered negotiations? They knew how to do that? Good night, everybody.
Couldn't happen.